Good Wednesday afternoon to you, 4 o'clock, time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Plenty of Browns to talk about. We begin with some Deshaun Watson news. Late yesterday afternoon, early yesterday evening, another lawsuit filed against Deshaun Watson in Harris County, which is Houston area. This one not represented by Tony Busby, and Deshaun Watson's representation, Rusty Hardin, went after it in a hurry and aggressively. An extortionist shakedown, sanctions against her attorney for a quote-unquote sham lawsuit. That tweet from Mary Kay Cabot. Let's welcome in Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Mary Kay, I know you wrote an article about this. Take us through this and how it is different from what has transpired in the previous allegations against Deshaun Watson, at least the way Rusty Hardin reacted to it.
Well, first of all, this was the lawsuit, the 26th suit that was filed on October 13th. So this is not another new one. This is the one that was filed a couple of weeks ago. And they were just waiting to find out the name, because when Rusty Hardin found out who it was, that's when they, just kind of went all guns blazing and filed a motion for sanctions against the attorney for what they describe as a sham lawsuit. Within the filings, there are many filings involved with this, but within those, there are text messages, screenshots of text messages from the plaintiff to Deshaun that never went answered by Deshaun, where, she's trying to get together with him again at the Houstonian hotel, where she's, describing things of a suggestive nature. And basically, she had been, I believe, rejected by Tony Busby, who represents the other 23 clients who have settled. And it's just, Rusty Hardin was fit to be tied when I talked to him on the phone last night and just said, this is an extortionist shakedown. Nobody else better try this. We're done. The ship has sailed. Nobody's coming after Deshaun anymore to try to get money out of him. This thing is over. He paid his dues. He paid his settlements, and we will not tolerate this kind of behavior anymore.
And that's good news. It's one of the ones that existed, and they found out the name. So hopefully that they can get beyond that. All right, some other news. It was expected, and it was announced today. The Browns, in fact, did put Jacob Phillips' torn pectoral muscle on the injured list. They also signed safety Mike Brown to the practice squad. The Phillips injury, does that mean we're going to see a whole lot more of Deion Jones, do you believe?
Yeah, there will be more of Deion Jones, but I think another player to really keep an eye out for is Sione Takitaki. He's having a really nice season. He can play multiple positions, and linebackers coach Jason Tarver, when we talked to him on Friday, was raving about Sione, who actually is grading out really well right now. He's in the top 20 amongst linebackers in the NFL. He's having some really nice games, and I think he's someone that's going to continue to get a lot of playing time. And JOK kind of woke up this last game, got that takeaway that they needed at the end of the game to give them a chance. And so I think they'll divide up the reps, but certainly those two guys will get more too.
Yeah, and Takitaki is a guy that has always been good against the run, so he can definitely help. All right, this is from CBS Sports. One thing we learned about each team in Week 7, about the Browns. The defense shut down Mark Andrews, give Cleveland a ton of credit for doing what no team has been able to accomplish since 2018, hold Andrews off the stat sheet. Mary Kay, they also shut down Lamar Jackson, at least held him in check. So I guess the question is, they do those things which usually add up to a win against the Ravens. Where do the Browns go from here after... I got to imagine they accomplished the top two check marks defensively with Andrews and Jackson and still didn't get the result they needed.
That's right. I mean, they need to close out games. They need to finish. They need to do whatever it takes to be able to actually maintain a lead. I mean, they led 7-0 and 10-3. You can't let up after that. And there were a couple of drives where, they just kind of stalled and weren't able to do anything. They have to keep the pedal to the metal, and they have to keep it going. And then in the end, I just don't think the officials did them any favors. I really don't. That Amari Cooper call, that OPI, can go either way. and that took a touchdown off the board. I've seen way worse not called. And then the false start, still nobody really seems to understand what happened with that. I've talked to numerous people. I've reached out to the league. I've asked Kevin Stefanski, asked Michael Dunn. I mean, nobody really seems to know exactly what happened on that, but that was also very costly.
The thing that I had said Monday after that is when the officials get together like that and are discussing it, don't you think there should be some sort of provision where they can go to video? Just because clearly there was a difference of opinion between the officiating crew. At that point, I mean, if your goal is to get the call right, if you have differences of opinion between the officiating crew, you should be able to go and review it.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. There's got to be, when you have the technology, when you have, the ability to replay things back and everybody at home can see things and the league office can see everything. I think you should just use all of your resources to make sure everyone is getting everything right. But I will say this about the end of game bad calls. They do have a tendency to even out over the course of a season. And when you look back to the Panthers game, I sat in on Matt Rule's post-game press conference, and they were very upset about two calls that went in the Browns' favor on the Browns' game-winning field goal drive. And that was a sort of, a questionable roughing call. And then they also picked up the spike flag. And if they hadn't picked up the spike flag, then then that would have been a 68-yard field goal attempt by Cade York with only 3 seconds left in the game to pull that off. And so, that's one where the Panthers felt like those end of game calls went against them and cost them the game. So, it kind of evens out.
Yeah, fans always think that the referees are harming their team more than anybody else. I get it. I agree with you. All right, we got a lot of voicemails. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yes, this is Keith calling from Columbus, Ohio. Thanks, guys, for taking my call. As always, love your show and will always be a Brown for life, no matter how bad we are doing or what the situation is. And that is the reason for my call. What I'm seeing a lot, especially in the media, I'm just disappointed at the negativity. It's like we've given up. The season, though it's not going where we want it to go, or we're not at where we want to be at this point, but what I hate to see is the people that we listen to be so negative, and that's all I've heard. Yeah, we're on a losing streak, I get it. We beat the Bengals, you never know what can happen move forward. I'm not giving up, even though history would say give up. I just refuse to do it. Go Browns, wish us the best, guys. We got to stay positive regardless. Thank you.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Mary Kay, we always try to put a positive spin on things, but there are some things like a 4-game losing streak where you just have to be honest and try to look at it objectively. I'm not calling for anybody's job. I never have, and I don't think I will until it gets to a certain point. You give people the benefit of the doubt, but you got to be honest. There are certain things that need to get cleaned up.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that in this past game, there were things to be encouraged about. I thought the defense actually kind of woke up in that game a little bit. It wasn't perfect, but as you mentioned, they shut down Mark Andrews and they really held Lamar Jackson in check. Those were two huge objectives and they reached them. We saw JOK come alive a little bit in that game. We saw some other things. Now, having said that, they're going up against a red hot offense coming up in the Cincinnati Bengals. This is going to be a tall task. But, I don't think it's impossible. And I do think that if they can beat the Bengals at home on a Halloween night, it's going to be a big, huge night in Cleveland. If they can go out and do that, then it changes the picture a little bit and it breathes a little bit of new life into them. That would make the Bengals 0-3 in the division. It would improve the Browns to 2-1 in the division. And then they would only be a game back from the Bengals. And I think the Ravens are having their issues. I don't think they're necessarily, the world beaters that we've seen them be in the past either. So I think anything can kind of still happen because those two teams haven't really, completely accomplished all of their objectives yet, although the Bengals have won 4 of their last 5.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, anytime you're playing in division, the main thing is you got to snap the 4-game losing streak, obviously. But a division game, even more important. Okay, this is from Bleacher Report. Belief around NFL among teams that Kareem Hunt can be had for a 4th-round pick per Jeremy Fowler, Dan Graziano. Keep in mind the Jaguars got a 5th-round pick. Could be a 5th-round pick. It's a 6th-round pick based on carries. Could be a 5th-round pick for starting running back James Robinson when they traded him to the Jets. What do you think it would take to pry Kareem Hunt away from the Browns?
Well, I certainly think, their ears would probably perk up at a 4th-round pick. I mean, that's not bad compensation for a player who's about to become a free agent at the end of the season and who is not necessarily going to be here next season. So I think you'd have to at least listen, and I'm sure they will. But as of right now, I don't think there's been, just a lot of heated talk about that. The Browns are not actively engaged in trade talks for Kareem Hunt. Anything can happen between now and Tuesday, of course. But right now, it's not like people are burning up the phones trying to make offers for him. It's not like that at the moment. So we'll have to see where it goes. But, there are a lot of rumors that fly around at this time of year, and you have to take things with a grain of salt. You have to check into things, and you have to kind of let cooler heads prevail.
Yeah, and again, it's Andrew Berry's job to take those phone calls and see what people are willing to. Talking trade and trading, very different. And along those lines, another guy that there are numerous reports that people are listening to, or calling about rather, is Greedy Williams. And again, that's another guy that, because he was a 2nd-round pick, they don't have the option of the 5th year for him. You have to be excited and pleased with the way Martin Emerson, MJ Emerson, the rookie, has played. So I get why people might think Greedy Williams might be available. I don't think they're giving him away either. I think if you make an offer they like, they probably take it.
Yeah, once again, they will listen. Right now, Denzel Ward is in the concussion protocol. And when you have good depth at a key position, you're not going to give that up very easily. It doesn't mean they won't listen to offers. They'll always answer the phone, but it doesn't mean that, again, that anything is imminent. It's just that time of year where people start speculating on all different kinds of things.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we go back to your questions, voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Mary Kay Cabot. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is Rico. What is so complicated about handing the ball off to Chubb or Hunt? I understand that the Browns are one of the league leaders in carries and rush yards per game. But when you really need a few yards or when it's crunch time, it seems like Stefanski refuses to hand the ball off and puts the ball into Jacoby's hands time and time again? Why does he keep doing the same thing over and over again? That's just the question I wanted to ask. Thanks. Go Browns.
Mary Kay, I will let you answer this. I've answered it a couple of times already this week.
Well, first of all, as far as the running game is concerned, Nick Chubb has, I think, the most carries in the NFL. This is a pass, it's also a pass-oriented team, and, they have their game plans and the ways that they want to accomplish things. And, there are some weeks, like against the Patriots, where it really seemed like they didn't run the ball enough. It was more balanced this week, and it didn't seem to be as off kilter as it was the week before. So, we'll just have to see how it goes. But, they do run Nick an awful lot, and it doesn't really occur to me most of the time that they're not using Nick enough.
Yeah, and again, play calling is one of those things. When it works, you're a genius. When it doesn't work, why didn't you call this? I mean, it's a no-win situation for a play caller. Along those lines, though, Nick Chubb, this is what he has done. Pro Football Focus, his rankings, he is first in the following: 740 rush yards, 510 yards after contact, 8 rushing touchdowns, 47 missed tackles that he has forced, and explosive runs. Those are 10 yards plus, 24. First in all those categories. So I get why you want to use Nick Chubb more, but they're using Nick Chubb pretty effectively is what that graphic tells me.
Yeah, they really are. And, I'm sure there are certain areas where they could use him a little more. It probably cannot hurt. But again, in this past game, I didn't really necessarily feel like they weren't using him enough. There were a couple times where they tried to change it up a little bit with Kareem Hunt, and he got knocked back 5 and 4 yards because Patrick Queen kind of run blitzed and it wasn't picked up, and he got into the backfield in a hurry. But for the most part, last game, I did not think that Nick Chubb did not get the ball enough.
The other thing is, and a lot of people make a whole lot about the 3rd and 2 where they threw the ball to Jacoby Brissett. Single coverage on Amari Cooper. They had the look that they. So when they are game planning, they say, if we get this look, we want to do this. Well, they got the look they wanted, so that's why they weren't running Nick Chubb. There are contingencies and things they're looking for to exploit. Unfortunately, it was an offensive pass interference call on that play.
Yeah, they're trying to win the game there. I mean, they're trying to be aggressive and win the game. And when they saw a one-on-one shot, Amari Cooper versus Marcus Peters, they're going to take that 9 times out of 10 because they know that's a matchup that Amari can win. And he basically did, but, with the hand fighting, he's the one that got called for it. And, and what can you do? I mean, there's nothing that you can do about that. But that really did cost them, and it was unfortunate. And for them, and what can you say? Like I said earlier in the show, those things have a tendency to even out over time, but that one was a killer.
Well, that means there should be some good things happening late in games for the Browns because it has swung the other way the last few games. All right, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, how are you? Just a quick question for you. Donovan Peoples-Jones has quietly had a pretty good season. Consider when they target him, he pretty much catches everything. He still has room to get better. Do you think he's earning a new contract to get re-signed? Because I feel like if you have a quarterback who gets in the ball, or if you open the passing game up, he would be a legit number 2. Just my thoughts. Like to hear your opinions. Go Browns.
Yeah, I'll let you go on that, Mary Kay. I think he's been outstanding. I think he's been what you would hoped he would develop. He's taking strides into developing what you would hope he would become.
Oh, yeah, he was a pleasant surprise right from the very start. To be a 6th-round pick and come in and do what Donovan Peoples-Jones has done, he's exceeded expectations. And that's exactly what you want from your draft picks, especially your late draft picks. Now they're hoping they caught lightning in a bottle twice, and the same thing happens with Michael Woods. But certainly everyone's very, very thrilled with the production that they've gotten from Donovan Peoples-Jones, and they're lucky because some of the younger guys just really haven't been able to make much of an impact yet. I mean, I'm talking about David Bell and Anthony Schwartz and Michael Woods because he's been injured. But those guys, I think, have a combined like 9 catches or something like that. It's not enough. And so they're lucky that they have DPJ.
Yeah, and you know what? I think he's going to actually get a bump once Deshaun Watson gets in there and gets comfortable, because Watson's a guy that will find the backside of plays and be able to exploit his size. All right, before we go to break, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, I love the show. I just have a quick question for you. So I heard some rumors that Jimmy Haslam was thinking about relieving Kevin Stefanski of his play calling duties so he could focus more on the team. Do you think it's about time to promote AVP to actual offensive coordinator where he can call plays? I mean, everybody says, well, Stefanski got this job for calling plays. I mean, let's be honest. He only called plays for 1 year, maybe 1.5. He wasn't a play caller for many years when he was in Minnesota. So it's not act like he's been doing this for years upon years before he got to Cleveland. I just think being a new head coach like that, yeah, you got this job because of your play calling, and we've seen you for 3 years. You can call pretty good games, but do you think he should hand it over so he can actually just focus on the whole team and get us in order and right this ship? Just my question. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Go Browns. Hoo, hoo, hoo.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Mary Kay, it's his offensive system. It's his offensive scheme. But your thoughts on that?
Well, my initial thought is you would not want to give up play calling right before Deshaun Watson lands back on your doorstep to be the elite quarterback that he has been throughout his entire career. You're going to be a much better play caller when you have Deshaun Watson running the show. So now is not the time for Kevin Stefanski to give it up. Now is not the time for, I haven't heard those rumors. So, now is not the time for anybody to be taking that out of his hands. I have no idea if that has been even discussed, but he absolutely 100% deserves a chance to call the plays and run the show with Deshaun Watson as quarterback.
Yeah, that I agree. Think about this. In all the games but the Patriots games, they had the ball in the quarterback's hands with a chance to win the game. If that is Deshaun Watson, you probably win most of, if not all of, those games. That's the reason you gave three first-round picks and $230 million, because you believe that as an organization.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess that right now, if they had Deshaun, they would have at least 2 more victories. They would be right in the thick of it with the Ravens and with the Bengals. So, it's time to just see how this thing goes. But what they need to do is they have to be able to hand Deshaun at least 1 more victory, maybe 2, but that's going to be hard. But they have to hand him at least 1 more victory so that this team can be relevant when he comes back.
Agree wholeheartedly. Mary Kay Cabot and I are going to take one more time out, other side of the break. More of your questions on the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We'll also look ahead a little bit to the Bengals. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Browns beat reporter from the Plain Dealer and the cleveland.com as well, Mary Kay Cabot. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, my name is Anthony. I'm a longtime Browns fan in the New York City, New Jersey area, and my question or comment is, If the Browns will be lacking draft picks the next 1 to 2 drafts because of the Deshaun Watson deal, do you think they will be trying to be sellers the next 1 to 2 seasons, getting rid of guys, stripping down a team to get back those first, second, and third round and maybe fourth round picks that they gave away to Houston? So Houston's going to have a boatload of picks the next 1-2 years. Do you think they're going to try to restock and get those draft picks back? Even if it means moving someone like Garrett or Njoku or even Denzel Ward to get first round, second round, third, and fourth round picks back. Thank you for listening to me. Go Browns.
Appreciate all the voicemails. Mary Kay, I think quite the opposite. The reason you gave the picks is because you think there's a window open, but I'll defer to you on that one as well.
Well, this doesn't strike me as a team that is going to want to trade away stars anytime soon with football players anytime. So they will continue to build around those key pieces that they have. The Wards, the Garretts, the Joe. They just gave those guys all extensions recently. So I just don't see that in the cards right now. Especially with Deshaun coming back and everyone recognizing that the good times will probably be right around the corner. I mean, next year, they can really be solid and set and ready to roll and take off for when he comes back. So I don't see that happening.
I would agree. All right, Pro Football Focus ranking the NFL's top receiving corps. And the top one in the NFL is coming to First Energy Stadium Sunday night. The Bengals are ranked 1, Dolphins 2, Bills 3. The Browns ranked down at number 22. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, 8 contested catches this season, 3rd most in the NFL. Cooper has 24 first down receptions, 9th best in the NFL. The problem has been, as we kind of alluded to, and Njoku's been good, but we're talking wide receiving corps. After those two, nobody stepped up.
Yeah, it is an issue. Now, that is one thing I would be looking for at the trade deadline. I would still be looking for a good receiver to come in here and help, because Deshaun, if they still have something to play for, he's going to need one more really good weapon at the receiving corps, because now they know that, it's taking David Bell a little time to come up the learning curve. Anthony Schwartz was nowhere near what they hoped he would be this season by any stretch of the imagination. And Michael Woods was way set back by a hamstring injury. So those young guys really haven't been able to contribute much. I think they need another receiver still.
All right. Having known you and having had you on the show, I know you are really, 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 really hesitant to say a game is a must-win game, especially before the final couple weeks of the season. Is Monday a must-win game?
You know me well. I'm not going to say it's a very vitally important game, again, because you can send the Bengals home 0-3 in the division, and you can send them home only one game ahead of you, the team that went to the Super Bowl last year. And anything can happen after that. And it helps you keep the boat afloat until Deshaun Watson comes back. So it's huge. I mean, it's enormous. It's as big as you can get without it being a must-win game, because I think that has to be saved for when there's no hope anymore, for when you have been told you are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. It is not happening. Until then, you can't say must-win game every single week. It's overused. It's watered down. I'm a purist on that. You know it. And again, huge game, but not must-win.
How concerned are you about Denzel Ward? So it's been a few weeks in the concussion protocol. I think it's his 2nd or 3rd concussion that he's had. Have you heard anything? Is there a chance? There's always a chance, but obviously with what is coming in offensively in the passing game, how important is Denzel Ward, and how concerned are the Browns that he hasn't been able to get out of the protocol?
Well, always concerned when anybody has a head injury. Everybody's concerned. Their families, their teammates, the team. Everybody's very, very concerned. So hopefully, who knows? Maybe he will be back this week. Our actual football week, as I'm talking about media and reporters and team and players. We haven't all reconvened yet. We haven't seen them since the game. because the actual football week, the practice week with the Monday night game starts tomorrow. So that's when we'll find out if he has been sprung from the protocol, and that can happen any day. It's all up to the independent neurologist. It's up to the protocol. And so who knows, we might show up there tomorrow and he's on the practice field, and that would be good for everyone because we know what he did in that game last year. When he got that pick six at the beginning of the game, that was it. I mean, it was good night, Irene, after that. They never recovered. The Bengals did not. Jamar Chase really, I don't think, recovered from that. I think he was rattled after that. And that's what your shutdown, lockdown cornerback can do. So they definitely need him back for this game.
Before I let you go, what are some keys? What do you think the Browns need to do? What can they do to offset it? They have had some success against Joe Burrow. I mean, let's make sure we put that out there. Joe Burrow knows that too. But what do the Browns need to do to get a badly needed win?
Well, they want to possess the ball. I mean, you want to keep the ball away from this high-powered offense, which has come alive. I mean, Joe Burrow is the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. He threw for, I don't even know, 480 yards or something ridiculous like that. I mean, they compiled 480 yards or something. But this offense is on a roll right now. As you mentioned, it's the best receiving core in the NFL. They have to be on point. Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney have got to get to Joe Burrow. They've got to rattle him. They've got to get him off of his mark. They've got to get him uncomfortable and shaky. I mean, basically, that's what they have to do. And then the Browns have to run the ball with Nick Chubb as much as they can.
Mary Kay Cabot, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Mary Kay.
Thank you.
Mary Kay Cabot. Make sure you check her out, Browns beat reporter, the pages of the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We will continue talking Browns. Brad Ward from the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. Straight ahead. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. Browns getting ready for a Monday night matchup here in Cleveland. Halloween night against the Cincinnati Bengals game. They need to win. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave, Frank from Cleveland. Hey, just a couple things. I think I might have rolled the dice with Baker if we could have patched things up with them. I think I'd take him a little bit better than Jacoby. they do the same thing. They can't score a winning drive. Number two, all we got to do is get Sheldon Richardson and Sue still available. Boom. There's your problem solved in the middle of the line. Then rotate the young guys out and then keep their legs fresh. But, I mean, we got the cap space, but it's only going to be like a one-year deal for the rest of the year. I don't know how that works, but thanks for taking my call, Dave. Good show as always. Bye.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Let's welcome in Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report. Newly acquired by the Orange and Brown Report, also the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. Brad, I'm going to pretty hard pass on Baker Mayfield. I think Baker's going to have a tough time finding a starting NFL quarterback job. So let's start there. We'll go to the other two guys in a minute.
Yeah, I would totally agree, Dave. He pretty much showed what he was in Carolina. I know he didn't have a lot around him, but it certainly was not a very good showing for him. I think he was maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL in his starts with them. And Jacoby has been better than expected. So I can't really say that I would have wanted to roll the dice with Baker Mayfield. I kind of disagree there. I think that Jacoby has played better than we all could have expected. So with the exception of one game, he's been very good. He's made some, as the caller mentioned, he's made some key mistakes in big spots. But as a whole, his body of work has been better than I think we all could have asked for.
Now, the other thing is I know fans are looking at that $33 million that they have in cap space. They got to roll that over, because what happens is your unused cap is rolled over, added onto the top of the cap. That's how you're going to get the new Denzel Ward contract, the new Deshaun Watson number. You're also going to have to do some other gymnastics. So that $33 million is a little bit of an illusion. As far as Richardson and Sue go, there's a reason those guys aren't on one of the 32 NFL teams. They probably don't have enough left to be a significant contributor. Your thoughts? That's all my opinion there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you that I think the Browns have kind of made it known that they don't really have an interest in Ndamukong Suh. As far as Richardson, I don't know. But the other part of this, too, Dave, is like, I know we talk about this a lot, and we're like, yeah, they should go sign this guy, sign that guy. I mean, they have to want to come here, too. I'm not sure that who you could entice to come here at 2-5 and play out the rest of the season for the Browns on what's been an awful front for them. I would think that Sue's probably going to pick a place, if he does play this year, where he has a chance to win and play in the playoffs and play as part of a good defense, an established defense. Probably not Cleveland right now.
All right, we look at these a lot of times. These are Timo Risky's tweets, and they kind of show pass rush grades and the like. So this is expected raw average pass rush, so the difficulty of assignment, and the y-axis is quality of pass rush. And when you look at the Browns' interior linemen, Taven Bryant, Jordan Elliott are both near the bottom. They are not doing well. So there's no nice way to say it. They're not getting it done. The young guys that are, I've said all along from the beginning of the year, there's an opportunity to step up. Nobody's stepping up.
No, you're absolutely right. They said, we talked about this. This was a miscalculation by the Browns, right? Like, they thought that they could get Jordan Elliott to step up and play better. They thought a change of environment for Taven Bryan would be a different result than it's been, but you're absolutely right, Dave. They have not been good. It's been problematic. And the whole invite the run, we don't need to spend capital, draft capital, cap space, whatever, on the interior defensive line has blown up in their face. It was a major miscalculation by this front office, probably one of the biggest ones they've had.
Yeah, and the only defensive tackle that's kind of a run stopper that I remember them signing is Andrew Billings. He opted out the COVID year and then came back and couldn't really make the squad after sitting out for a year. So they haven't done it in a while. All right, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi. So I was actually thinking, everybody wants Joe Woods fired, but, who will we replace him with? And I was thinking about the name of John Butler from the Bills. He's the defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator, and their passing defense is really, really good. I'm just we need somebody with experience of calling plays and with experience of knowing what to do with talent, and he is one of those people along with Leslie Frazier. So I think John Butler will be a good fit if we fire Woods. I think the system, that 4-3 system that they run, is really, really good. Everybody's thriving in that defense, so I think this would be a good fit.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Your thoughts on that, Brad? I'm not as familiar with John Butler. The Bills' defense, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
He is certainly intriguing. You could kick around that idea. I think that, I take it we're talking about firing Joe Woods after the season at this point, because obviously that would be not feasible now, right? If they did fire him during the season, I'm pretty sure it would be Jason Tarver. Just FYI, he had been a DC before. I don't think that's necessarily off the table as we approach bye week. But either way, whether it be the off season, I think it's going to be somebody that's connected to Barry and Stefanski. So I think if you want to find out who is your candidates, you follow their tree, right? Their who they're connected to defensively, and who they have a history with, because that's kind of what this regime does. They don't like to go too far out of what they don't know. They like to go with the known and not the unknown, I think. So I think that would tell you who your potential candidates are in the future.
Well, that would lead back to a Mike Zimmer type, who was the head coach. He's a defense coordinator, was there. The one thing I would say is if you're going to move off of Joe Woods, I hope you move to somebody who is more aggressive. That's my only criticism of this defense is you have speed, you have guys that I would think would play well by telling them go get after it, and they don't really do that.
Yeah, it's like they're thinking too much, right? It's like the problems at the beginning of the season have just become so much of, we have to fix this, I have to think about this, I need to be here. And when you're thinking, you're not playing, right? You can't play with speed, you can't be aggressive. I agree with you. I would love to see somebody that is more not like this is who we are and this is what we do. We play a lot of zone. We're not going to give up big plays and we're going to let our front four get after the rusher. But somebody that is more opponent game plan based, right? Like week in, week out, we can morph who we are because we have all these flexible players to stop what you do best. And I think those are the best defenses in the NFL. And I don't think Joe Woods does a very good job at that sometimes.
Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report, as well as the host of the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. More of your voicemails. We got a lot of them the last couple of days. We'll also take a look at some offensive line rankings. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report, as well as the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yeah, this is Tony from Pueblo, longtime Browns fan since '65. Listen, I've watched this team go through thousands and thousands and thousands of things. I can't even put my head around why Kevin Stefanski can't get out of his own way. He is the reason why we lost this game. Now, if I can sit in my chair and see things that are happening, why can't he see that on the field? All right, go Browns. Woof, woof, woof.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Brad, I don't think you can pin the loss on Kevin Stefanski. There were things I would have done differently. But punt coverage, I mean, there's never one thing. It's always, there are 70-some plays, 140 actually, 70 on each side usually. To say it's this guy's fault or that guy's fault is never completely accurate.
No, I totally agree. Listen, you know, there's a large part of this fan base that wants Stefanski gone right now. And listen, has there been times this year where he's gotten too cute? Absolutely. Has there been times when he has been not as good as you would like him to be in situational football? Sure, absolutely. Like, I think there are times that you can make the case that he should have run the ball instead of throw the ball. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, and we all do that, right? But as a whole, this offense has not really been the problem. This offense has been efficient with a career backup. I think that it would be very difficult to put this on Stefanski. I don't think that's fair at all. I know a lot of people want to say, hey, he's in charge of the defense. He's in charge of special teams. I hear that all the time, Dave. Like, you know, hey, you know, he's the one that's in charge of the defense. Ultimately, this falls at his feet. I would just say, like, you know, I know it's been defensive problems, but when you brought Stefanski in, they didn't bring him in to say, hey, we really like this guy because he's going to pick a great DC. They brought him in to call plays and run the offense. And I know he's the head coach, and ultimately you can put it at his feet and not be incorrect. But I think we need to dive a little bit deeper than that. I think that it's the layers go a little bit deeper into where the fault lies or who to blame in this situation. Certainly there have been times he has been to blame. He's not been perfect. This hasn't been his best year. But I think he has a pass this year. I think they want to see what he can do with Deshaun Watson. And I think all in all, the offense has been efficient, Dave. I can't really complain that the offense hasn't been good enough. There are certainly times and situationally where they have failed. But as a whole, he's a good play caller. I like him as a play caller. I know a lot of people want to take that away from him, but I am an advocate of him as a play caller.
The other thing I would say is you can't continually change head coaches in an organization. When you do, you end up with what the Browns have had since '99. So let him he hasn't had his quarterback. I mean, Deshaun Watson, he inherited Baker Mayfield. We've talked about Baker Mayfield last segment. He's not going to be an NFL starting quarterback next year. Baker Mayfield is not. I will be shocked if he is, and I think there's a way he can get back into it. He ain't going to be it next year. Jacoby Brissett is not going to be a long-term starting quarterback. So he hasn't played with a guy that's going to be a long-term starting quarterback yet. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt there. All right.
I agree.
Offensive line rankings by Pro Football Focus. So the number one ranked one is the Eagles. The Browns are number 2. Froholt gave up 3 pressures, including 2 sacks against the Ravens. Now, they have a challenge coming up. Trey Hendrickson leads the Bengals, 28 pressures. In his only game against Browns last season, he managed just 1 pressure. It did result in a sack. That offensive line is playing well. It has to continue to play well, maybe even play better, because that's the road to getting out of the 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, I think they need to be a little bit better in pass protection, especially there. You know, Jacoby was dealing with a lot of traffic in the pocket on Sunday, right? And we know the Ravens have a good front, but so do the Bengals, and the Bengals have a pretty good defense. So, they do miss Wyatt Teller badly, as you mentioned, the numbers on Froholt, but they need to find a way to give him more time in the pocket and not as such a dirty pocket as you would say. Like he just, with the fumble, twice he got the ball knocked out of his hand. He, dealing with a lot of traffic. He's a long, big guy that does not have great presence when it gets high traffic in there. So they need to give him a clean pocket to be able to throw, or else you're asking for a disaster like a fumble turnover or a strip sack or something like that. So that can't happen Monday night for them to win. They just don't have the margin of error anymore, Dave, to be able to turn over the ball and still win.
Yeah, I agree. And they won't have it until you get Deshaun Watson under center. He gives you a little bit more of margin there. All right, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yeah, this is regarding the quarterback situation. The quarterback that's the second-string quarterback that took the job of Watson. They need to go to the next guy. He plays a lot better than Watson and Jacob. It's hard to understand why we're looking for Watson when he's too far beyond. It's time that they reconsider and go to the third-string guy, because by the time Watson comes in, it'll be too late. And the people that they're putting that's getting in the way of the coach need to be removed immediately. And if the coach can't get these people out of the way, then he needs to be removed. But I don't believe that's the case. God bless the Browns. We're still backing them, and we'll wait and see. Have a good night. Bye.
As always, appreciate it. The thing I would say about Josh Dobbs, 17 regular season snaps. So you have no idea. What he did in the preseason was great. Completely different when you get into regular season. So I just slow down a little bit on Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of this narrative, right? The Josh Dobbs narrative, and I think it's a little bit silly, Dave. And I'm not putting people down if you feel that way, but there's a reason he didn't play at all in Pittsburgh. He looked good in preseason games against second and third team guys, but he is not ready, in my opinion, at all to take over an offense. And I don't know why the big press to go away from Jacoby Brissett, who hasn't been terrible and played better than we thought he has. So, with the exception of one game, which he was really bad, right, against the Patriots, he was not good at all. But that was a little bit of regression to the mean, I think, because he has been playing over his head. I don't think that Dobbs is the answer. If you're not happy with what you're getting from Jacoby Brissett, you're not going to be happy with what Josh Dobbs gives you, in my opinion. I don't think that is an option for the Browns. I don't think they'll go there.
Yeah, I mean, if again, Kevin Stefanski's looking for a win. If he thought Josh Dobbs gave him a better chance to win, he'd have been in there yesterday. They need to find a way to get to 4, 5, 6 wins before Deshaun Watson comes back. 4 at a very bare minimum, and even that's a little bit of a stretch. Brad Ward and I are going to take one more time out. Other side of the break. Back to your voicemails. Also, some bold predictions on the Bengals game. Sports4CLE. Be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Wire, or Orange and Brown Report, as well as the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. Brad, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one's kind of interesting.
In 2018, a NFL team drafted a kicker, 5th round, I believe. Throughout the season, he started pretty good, but as the season progressed, he got worse and worse. Well, they eventually released him and got a different kicker. Well, the original kicker that was drafted eventually ended up at Oakland, and he's still there. He straightened out his problems, and he's pretty good now. The team that drafted him was the Vikings, and his coach was Prefer. Well, the way I look at it right now, Prefer's destroying another kicker, and all the problems with special teams all revolves around Prefer. But I think the one big problem is him and Stefanski are friends, and Stefanski don't have the heart to fire him. Well, Stefanski, eventually it's going to be you and him both gone if you don't make a decision and let him go now. Love the show. Talk to you later. Bye.
Appreciate all of the voicemails. Brad, special teams coach and kickers, it's not like he goes and coaches them. I mean, the kickers are kind of left on their own because they have their own they know their routine and it's like a golf swing. They know their kicking swing better than anybody. Prefer's not over there telling them, well, you got a little, and special teams coaches don't do that. They do coverage. They do those kind of things. So if you want to blame Mike Prefer for coverage, I'll listen to it, and there's some validity. Special teams have not been good for the Browns. But destroying a kicker, that's veering a little bit off the road.
I agree. You will not find me, Dave, saying very much positive about Mike Prefer. I am not a fan. This special teams has been bad for years, in my opinion. They do silly things. I don't think they're... I mean, you hear people around the situation, around the building say that, boy, he's very attentive to detail. He's a good coach. He does this and that. But when it comes to Sundays, the special teams has been, they just don't perform. They do silly things. They bring the ball out of the end zone. They commit dumb penalties. They're not fundamentally sound. They get kicks blocked. They cost them field position every week. This week they gave up a short field that resulted in a touchdown for the Ravens, on a kick return. He has struggled. I don't think he's very good. I think he's somebody that needs to probably lose their job this offseason, and somebody needs to replace him. However, to your point, I don't think he has anything to do with whether Cade York makes or misses a field goal unless it's blocked or something like that, right? Like, then you can say maybe schematically it wasn't correct, or somebody else made a mistake there that resulted in the block, or somebody just made a great play on the other team. But whether he can't destroy a kicker. He has nothing to do with whether the kicks go in or not. That's Cade York. That's him. He practices all day, every day that they practice. That's his kicking style. He knows the fundamentals of his kick probably better than anybody else. So, no, I don't think a special teams person can destroy a kicker, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish there was an excuse there for some of these misses, but I don't think so.
You can't make one and you can't destroy them because they're not standing over him telling him, well, you need to plant that, None of that is going on with a kicker. That is left to the kicker. All right, 5 bold predictions for the Browns-Bengals game. This from Dog Pound Daily. We'll do a couple of them together. So David Bell will finally break out. Let's hope so. The passes will continue. And Myles Garrett will have 3 sacks. All right, if those happen, Myles Garrett 3 sacks, that's a huge step in the right direction. David Bell breaking out, I like the sound of that. Not as crazy about continuing to pass a whole lot.
Yeah, I agree. David Bell, though, I kind of have been waiting for him to break out, right? Like, we've seen him make some big catches on third downs late in games, and he's been in the right spot when they needed him, but he hasn't had that big game yet. He certainly is going to, without Njoku here, they're going to need some tertiary options to step up and play better. So I think that certainly this would be an opportunity where maybe he gets some more targets. They probably are going to be in more 11 personnel without their tight ends all hurt, right? So I know they're going to elevate some guys, but you still would probably think they lean towards more receivers on the field, more guys on the field that have been out there. So I think he does get some more opportunities and maybe some more targets here, his chance to maybe step up. I'd love to see Miles get 3 sacks. They've actually averaged 3 sacks a game against the Bengals. So, maybe it's all Garrett, and that would be fantastic if they kept, held serve with that average. That would give them certainly a good chance, because the one thing that you have to do with Burrow is keep him off balance and get him off his throwing spot, because they just want to drop back and chuck it, really, at the core of their offense. So, yeah, and as far as the throwing the ball goes, Dave, I agree. I mean, there's a formula the Browns have to follow to win games, right? And one of them is not falling behind so that you can run the ball and give Nick Chubb the ball 20, 25 times. When they do that, they can win. So a fast start and giving Chubb the ball a lot is 3 sacks for Myles Garrett. All those things are positives, and I think could happen, but will result in them being in a very competitive game if they would do so.
All right, so they have Nick Chubb will reach 10 touchdowns on the year. That means he would get 2 of them there, and the Browns will have some new contributors. Who knows with that? But what I would say is if Nick Chubb has 2 touchdowns, again, that's another good start like the 3 sacks with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, like I was just saying, if he gets 2 touchdowns, Myles Garrett gets 3 sacks, then you'd like to think they would win the game, right? Like, those are key points of the game that would change the outcome here. So if those things happen, then you would like to think they could win. That and a positive turnover margin, I think, would be a win for sure. I think this will be a competitive game, Dave. I do. I think that they'll play well. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere for sure on Monday night, Halloween. People are going to be wild. And once again, it's a must-win again, right?
Yeah.
This is like their 5th must-win of the year, but it is a must-win again. So they got to have it for sure.
Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report, as well as the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. As always, Brad, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dave. You're the best, man.
Brad Ward, make sure to check him out. Orange and Brown Report, All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. It's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow on Sports for CLE.